Success is the result of cumulative failures, which happened because one participated and tried with the ambition to improve. But how would have one ever attempted if they kept delaying it in the name of just trying to do better? Sometimes, when action is constantly delayed and habits play against you, you have to play against them and just try. Not to do the best, but to just do. Many know and understand this statement: the best is the enemy of the good. But few realize how much it is involved with us, how much it is involved in our lives, how much impact it has every day of ours. Now, why did we choose this topic? Well, life seems to be revolving around it lately, or at least that we have been noticing. Everything that we have been doing lately, let it be the page itself that we started, the writings that we do, our academics itself, every small and big decision seems to be impacted by this. If we talk about this podcast itself, we knew we could do it. We have had discussions and we knew it wouldn't be the best. We had writings of ours. We wanted to do this thing, but we didn't do it because we always kept delaying. This is not the best form. It could be better. We could do better. We could present it better. So we kept procrastinating it. At one point, all of us knew that we are going to open this page, but we just came up with excuses that of one or the other kind to just delay the process of opening the page. We first thought that we'd create an inventory, that if we are students, if there somehow are examinations or some sort of reasons that we could not create more content, then we'd have a safe inventory so that the posting does not stop, because we realize the importance of algorithm and constant posting. That is one thing. But that inventory reason just kept it delaying, man. We would have never reached a certain amount of inventory that we wanted to ideally have. I mean, it was a good idea, but we just stretched it too little. We took 3 weeks to prepare an inventory, and we didn't really prepare any such of good amount of inventory, to be honest. And then at the end of 3 weeks, we sat down together and we realized that we could just create the page right away and start posting on it. We just wanted to do better. We wanted to write better. We wanted to edit better. We wanted to understand the algorithm and the process better. To be honest, we wanted to do the best. We wanted quick results as soon as we open the page, and we are glad that we learned too soon from it. I think 3 weeks is a good time to make a mistake, and even a better time to just learn from it. We knew if we took 2 weeks for a podcast, we'll bring out better quality, but maybe not so true either. Well, it is well said that you take as much time as you are given. And that is why we settled for a 1 week deal. That's about the page. That's how it started, because we realized best is going to be the enemy of the good. And we realized we have the good. So we started right away. In academics as well, we keep delaying our productive hours. We keep delaying, we'll do this in the morning when we wake up, we'll do it after lunch, we'll do it after, when we have that long zone of productivity, is what we feel. But I think we are just lying to ourselves most of the times with that. It is just we will try to input the best we could into this, or just the good. And I hope that it be worth both yours and our time and effort that we give into it. We'll try a bit different approach for this one. We did a different approach the previous one, and we are just trying right now. And let's see where it goes and how long we can keep it up. If I dare to put out this question, that think about what it could mean to you. I'm not alone on this podcast. I have someone else. I'm not alone in life. I have friends. One of them is sitting right with me for this podcast. You have been there listening to my uttering shit for 2.5 minutes or something like this. But now I'm introducing you, so be thankful. I'm not being rude. I'm just being fake. If I dare to ask this question to you, what would you say when I ask, what do you interpret of the statement, the best is the enemy of the good?
First of all, sometimes people associate good with negative connotation. The mindset of the people starts from the macro level. The human mindset works at the macro level. If you ask about planning, people will open up planners and they will make a plan for the month. They cannot settle planning a day and then ultimately it failed, because it will happen to most of us. As I'm experimenting with these things, I can say when a people sit down and make a planner for a month, it is going to be failed, because human body is not like that. You cannot change yourself in one day. And people craving for best, ended up getting nothing. I don't say that craving for best is not.
I just like to
It is the
interrupt
truth that
on
you
one
have to
point.
aim
I'm
very
really
high.
sorry, but
But
what I'd like to add also here is that it is not just that the people craving for the best alone. I think two or three qualities that they also have is people craving for the best, but having none action in the present for a prolonged period of time.
yeah, that's what I was talking about. So if you are going to sit like that, you will end up nowhere. Best doesn't come to you directly. The best is a process. When you want to get the best out of something, you need to start something. And the starting is never the best. When you start speaking, everyone utters. So you need to understand that starting today is the only key that can lead you to best.
I think one more thing is that we were discussing it in the previous podcast, Success for a 17-year-old as well, that people want quick things right now. This generation, the times that we live in, people want quick things. People want to start something and be the best in it. Beat everyone who's doing that same thing just barely because they have started. They compare themselves to the people who have been doing it for years, years more than their ages. And it is just about skipping the process, and that just demotivates them. They compare themselves to the wrong person in the wrong way, and then they feel disappointed and they lose their confidence in everything. They blame the activity because of their approach towards it. I think, but it is just not end there. We talked about success and we talked about it is more about what you make of that term than what the term means itself. I think the same applies for this statement. Everything has merits and demerits. Sometimes people delayed the best and that worked, but sometimes it just didn't work in their favor. How to take calculated decisions by knowing in which instance which is which, that is important. So how would you draw a line there? What would be an example that you could come up with? I know you have shared a few of examples in the previous answer, but if you just somehow think anything about merits and demerits of this statement, and how to take a calculative risk in deciding which is which, when you are actually delaying the best, that it's going to help you, and when you are just merely doing it as a basis of an excuse and it's not going to bring out any good.
I think there are some factors that are associated with it. Delaying the best and doing the good, and delaying the best and also not doing the good. Best is just the aggregate of goods,
I think delaying
because
the best and
best,
also
in
not
my
doing anything. I think sometimes it's not just
yeah,
about being doing good. Sometimes it's about doing anything. You start somewhere and you have the ambition to improve and look out for your mistakes, but sometimes people just don't do anything.
because they want the best, and actually they don't have the means to get to the best, and then they are sitting idle. I want to start preparing for the UPSC. I don't have the means to go to coaching, so I'm sitting. That happens with people. That happens with me also. Yeah, not with UPSC. Of course, people listening to me, I'm not over 35. They just thought, ki, I will definitely do this when I will get this. And it's not about always materialistic matter. It's sometimes about emotional phase too. And sometimes there is one more factor associated to it. When you can do the best, you can perform the best, but you just hesitate to make connection, and you are being that average person. They are not able to gain the confidence, rather, I would say. Then delaying the best is a demerit. When you know you have more potential than that, and when you see that your good is not improving, then there is a problem.
I think, yeah, then the excuse is solely that the best is the enemy of the good. What do you think about like the lessons that I think I have learned by following this statement is that there are four lessons basically, and I would like you to throw some light onto those. The first is consistency is important. The second is patience is the key. The third is low rate of procrastination, and the fourth one is that it is important to do. जो भी करो करना जरूरी है. तो अगर if I were to ask you to relate consistency is important to the best is the enemy of the good, how would you relate it and how important or how close do you think the learning would be?
As it is better said, consistency is the key to success. And that's what a relation between these two sentences are. Best is the enemy of the good, and consistency is the key to success. That is what I have made my statement to. Best is the aggregate of the goods improving continuously. And the goods improving continuously definitely means that you are doing it consistently. Consistency compounds, whether financial terms or in terms of anything you want to get in this world. And consistency is the play. Everyone starts, but there are few who finishes the game. You have to start because everyone has started. Those who are in the best phase of their life, those who are celebrating their wealth, those who are celebrating their beauty, they start at some point in their life and they do that consistently. So this is the relation, I think.
My next thing is that the other lesson, what I thought I learned, was that patience is the key. Likewise, consistency. If patience is the key, has to be related with the best is the enemy of the good. How do you think patience goes with it?
It's very obvious. Consistency can only be there if you are patient. People without patience want that exponential curve, but exponential curve doesn't come directly. There need to be a flat line for that exponential curve. And if you will not go through that flat line, if someone get that exponential curve directly, then it's very definite that you are going to fall from that exponential curve to the very lowest point.
Since you have been speaking for a decent time, I'll take the next two pointers on my shoulders. And the next two things that were there, those were my lessons, what I thought were a low rate of procrastination, but how it deals with the best is the enemy of the good. I think these are the basics, when you have that habit of not doing anything, and there has been this excuse which gives you a belief that I really want to do something best, so I'm delaying it. So you have a justifiable excuse to yourself, and then you don't feel as much guilty about it, and you procrastinate everything, you delay everything. But when this excuse is gone, when you realize that doing is the key and then improving is the key, you will reach the best through those steps only, then procrastination has to be gone right away. It's like you don't have to really do anything extra to get rid of procrastination. It will go away on its own once you really start believing in this statement. And about the next lesson, that it is important to do कि करना जरूरी है कैसे भी करो. I think it also comes as natural with that statement. You realize the importance of doing, you started doing. As the bad habits were formed, the good habit will be formed, and soon you won't even realize, but you'll just feel this need to do it. When you get into that habit zone of doing something, you just try to, like, once you're fed up and everything, you can have a few break days and everything. But if it constantly you don't have really those days where you are doing something, you will feel frustrated because of the emptiness in your day. Now, we have also had instances in our lives, sort of like an understanding that we have gathered from all our experiences in life. But I would like to ask of any particular instances that happened in your life that you now look back to and think that, oh, you were being stupid at that time, that you were going to pass on that opportunity. But now, when you look back, you realize that it brought back one of the best days and experience of your life. For me, it was the first annual function I had, and I was to sing and dance and to perform. It's not like I harshly didn't want to do it, but a part of me was a little bit insecure about it. And I was thinking I'm not prepared. But later on, I realized that I would have never been prepared if I never wanted to do that competition, because I did not realize it was not like that I will go in there in the competitions or actually the performance. There was no competition, it's an annual function. But the performance will be just the next day. It is not tomorrow, it is 2 or 3 months after that. So I've got really 2 to 3 months to practice with some mentors who are ready to teach me. And this is really the best opportunity to learn under ideal conditions, when people are really willing to teach you and you have a performance which is big. You're not just going to sing for your relatives in your car or trip or something. This is like an actual performance where there are going to be thousands of people seeing you. And I was passing on that opportunity because I thought I was not prepared. Turns out I was never going to be prepared. This was the opportunity to be prepared so that someone could teach me. And I was denying that because it turns out to be a great experience of my life. Plus, I got to add on a new skill to my skill set. That would not have happened because I was thinking, not like in these exact terms, but I was kind of thinking, ki I would be prepared in the future, like maybe the next class or that. I'll practice. I wanted to be prepared and then start there, like not be there and practice there itself. I think that was a childish thing to do, but it makes sense since I was a child. But what is that one experience in your life, one instance, competition, anything that you can look back and think in a similar way, that these lines make sense to it, if there would be any?
I think that can be from yesterday. This can be a small incident. I decided to take my English class. I'm not taking it from many days. On Saturday, I decided that I will take the class. class, and there was no one in the class. Only the teacher was present. I also wanted to leave, but I just pushed myself a little bit. When the teacher gave me a task to write a letter, I thought, why not give it a chance? And there was no notebook. But I see my brother's notebook line. I just take that notebook. I just turn to the last page of that notebook and I just start writing a letter. Push me a little bit more. I send on the WhatsApp and I got to know that what are my mistakes. And I just learned something just because I push myself. So it's about changing the micro things. It is just like कि सब सीखने वाली स्टेज पर ही है.
I think everybody in their lives are always at a stage where they could learn something new. And just discussed it before this meeting. I was talking to you over the phone, and I told you that I've been lately trying a new technique. It's not, I won't even call it a technique, it's just something I did out of nowhere. I started putting quotes or lines that inspire me, that I want to idealize on my wallpaper, on my laptop. So that I see it again and again. It may have some impact on me or not. I didn't see any loss in it. I only saw that it could work. I tried this like with one or two quotes specifically over the few days, and it has seemed to work, to be honest.
Randomly thinking about this topic, I'm reminded of the lines of Kavi Sandeep Trivedi ji. In one of his poems, जो दूर था माना मिला नहीं, जो पास है वो भी खोता रहे, सब जाग रहे तू सोता रहे. I will give you a very basic example. You thought that you will wake up today at 6 a.m. and will study from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., a 4 hour study session. But it ended up like that. Or you wake up at 10, or in the worst scenario, you wake up at 12 and you realize that the time you want to spend for studying, you were sleeping. But still, man, you are waking up at 12. You have the whole day in your hand. You waste your whole day thinking like that. सुबह नहीं उठ पाया यार, कल से उठूंगा. Why that कल से उठूंगा? You can sit down from 1 p.m. and study till 5 p.m.
I think we should wrap it up. And I think we have just spoken a fine amount of length. There could have been points added to it. There could have been points better said, better framed. There could have been things that could have been better about it. And certainly, we know this podcast ain't the best. It's just something we are doing. And to conclude it, I mean, I would just like to say that topics like these that address the essence of human nature, that humans don't understand themselves 100%, but are also the essence of human development and the basics, the building concept for our graph of improvement. The topic that the best is the enemy of the good should not be taken in a manner that we ask to limit ourselves to be average. Rather, we are asking people to start. We are motivating ourselves to start. And not to compromise the action itself for delay. Mark Zuckerberg once said in a Harvard commencement ceremony, ideas do not come out fully formed. They only become clear as you work on them. You just have to get started. What is more interesting to us personally is that we started our Instagram page and this WebM podcast with this idea itself. We knew our writings, our post, editing, podcast, everything we do can be better. But we also knew that we need to get started first. Chaos would happen and it is happening, but we are trying and I think we are learning. You don't have to be crying about what you didn't get. You need to prove yourself in what you have. Best is the enemy of the good, but the only way to get to the best is by creating so many goods constantly, by doing so many things. We will reach the best not by delaying the good. Best is just the aggregate of goods improving consistently.